What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Comeback Couples Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Jennison with...
Kendra Jennison.
Were you just playing the air piano?
I was playing a melody in my head.
What did it sound like?
Just sounded like that.
Let's talk about something very, very, very important
Oh my
today.
goodness.
You finally caught a mouse.
1-800-Kendra Exterminator.
That's too many letters.
Okay.
Too many numbers. But you literally have been trying to hunt this thing down. 2 a.m. This mouse has been fucking with you.
You guys, there's been a mouse. There may be more than one.
There's a rat pack.
Definitely. And I have been trying for no less than 1 week, every single night, to catch this thing. I'd wake up in the morning and my Italian loaf of bread would just be like gnawed through.
He literally ate specific...
8 avocados, bananas. And I told Mark, I said, he's like, I'm going to call the exterminator. I was like, no, I got this.
I have to catch this thing myself. Now this morning I wake up and you got him. And like what you...
I got one.
You thought was a giant rat. You were like completely...
I was like, it's a chipmunk, it's a rat, it's a
squirrel
weasel.
in her house.
I don't know.
And it turns out there's a little baby rat, or his little baby mouse.
It's literally the cutest little mouse.
Yeah, I feel so bad because his eyes popped out.
I did too. It was pretty. But you know what? He was being a nuisance, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
All right. I liked him. So this week, oh man, maybe you guys can hear this. Maybe you camp out on the other side of the wall that you cannot see since you're either on voice or in a reel. We have our 3 kids over there. Sounds like they're having a fucking party. Just yelling over there, doing whatever they do. Finally, the holidays are over. I shouldn't even say that. I had a great holiday season. It was fun. It was a great Q4, which is typically a stressful...
There was not the typical stressors going into this holiday season, business-wise, that there has been in previous years. It was very relaxing. It was fun. But I just think the workup of all the holidays and all the things and going here and doing this, and you just feel like, I mean, you don't, I do.
Sure.
Where I'm like, oh, I got to be here, and then I have to go here, and I got to bring this, and cook this, and which is fun. And in the moment, I enjoy it, but I am glad when it's over. We're
going to work on that next year, right? So that's actually a big thing that I did. Number one, I wasn't going to let my mindset get taken from me. Mm-hmm. Whatever I get angry at pretty much usually owns me. It's not just me, it's everybody. But Q4 is difficult. Sales dip. We actually were pretty stable this year. We did a price increase. We cut some clients, went deeper into more of the right clients, and got specific on the men that I'm called to lead. And like the team, I was able to keep the morale up, and it was actually a pretty good year. Believe it or not, we actually made some money through Q4, which is typically just hope to break even.
Yeah.
So that was good. We made a little bit of money, but the big shift aside from that was that I'm unwilling to do things that I don't want to do or that make my life harder than it has to be.
Yeah. I mean, you've always been that way, but definitely I would say more so this year. Unapologetically, just like, yeah, no, not going to do it. Which is great.
And there's some freedom in there that I was seeking. I mean, I spent the whole year, the last 14 months working on myself to become this divine king version of Mark inside of the world that matters to me, right? Looking at my life for the first time as it's my own, which is crazy because I've done all these things that help so many people, but really breaking down this year what's important to me, who's important to me. And it's not that even in the who, there's a lot of people that are also important, just not like in this space that I'm going to run right out to your house and just give you. So for me, it was a big deal. Like, I go to your mom's because that's important to you. Other than that, I didn't do shit, I don't think.
Yeah.
Right? But I had a great holiday.
Yeah. Typically, we made a few other stops along the way, me and the kids, and everybody, oh, where's Mark? And I was just very matter of fact. I said, he is not doing anything he doesn't want to do. I said, and actually he's busy working and he didn't feel like being surrounded by so many people. So right after this, he's going to be at mom's, and that's all he wants to do.
That's it.
And they were like, okay, cool. Like they didn't really, they kind of figured,
Nobody really gives a shit if I'm there anyways. I shouldn't say that. They probably like me to be there, but like, you know what you're going to get. I'm going to be pretty serious. I'm going to work. I'm not going to participate in any of the games just because it's who I am and I don't do things that I don't want to do, which is the topic of the conversation today, which is a question that I am just enamored with these past 2-3 weeks of watching people make their life harder than it has to be. And you asked me a question before we came down. You're like, well, do you think a woman or females or males do it harder? I don't know. I'm not a female.
So the question is, why do individuals
Yes.
make their life harder than it has to be?
And you can take this and break this down anywhere. So this is actually something that I think it's inside of what I do with I'm a Comeback. But if I were to, at this stage, 9 years into my own personal comeback, I don't really talk about alcohol anymore. I could talk about the message. It's more about the men. It's the movement. If you're coming to play the game of alcohol, you're playing entirely too fucking small. Nobody's coming to save you. Don't be a pussy. Like don't be a pussy. These are the type of things that I stand for. But as we get further and further and further along, and I grow further and further and further from who I was and becoming more and more of who I am, and we're becoming more, I feel like the question that God wants me to answer and that I want to answer in my life is, why do people make their life harder than it has to be? And I look at it, I get to start, which will make this conversation today, just when it comes to addiction.
Okay.
Okay. But we can stay loose on addiction. It doesn't have to be alcohol.
Sure.
But like Ryan was just saying a couple of minutes ago, you get a client or a guy that he's on top of the world. Life is great. He's winning in all ways. And then out of nowhere, he actually slips, right? They blame it on this slip. Sure. They stop doing the work. They go right back to where they're drinking. And it's like the calling. It's like, I feel like and I did this too. I had 7 major relapses like this and I just stopped, right? But like when you get to the point, you get to the other side, what is it that makes this fiery, fuel driven calling to come back and completely fuck up your life? And I want to figure that answer out.
You know, the first thing, I don't have the answer. I mean,
I don't either.
You know, but we can talk through it, and I can just kind of say the first things that were coming to my mind. I can say, only speaking, observing you as a male and of like the stature and the standard that you live your life, potentially, so like psychologically, it makes sense to me that high achieving individual men such as yourself or anybody else who holds themselves to that stature, right, gets to a spot where they make things harder than they need to be because it gives them another opportunity to win. Does that make sense?
So I'm glad you brought that up. It's called the build and burn, right?
Yeah.
And I did this. You watch it. Yeah, and I can even do it to my body, right? You've watched this 2 or 3 times.
Watched you do it, yeah.
Right? Just absolute primal savage shape, and then just say, fuck it.
Yeah.
Right? And I will never fall below to some disgusting human being, but I stopped doing what got me there.
It's like you get to a spot and you're like, fuck yeah, I did it. Hell yeah, look at me, shredded, whatever. And you always are in fantastic shape. But you go through seasons, and then you go through another moment where, you know, where the business is on fire or whatever, and the body part drops. And you're like, okay, now I'm ready to attack that again. I'm ready to win. I'm like hungry for more discipline. And it's just, you know, and it gives you another chance where you're like, fuck yeah, I'm winning, you know?
And I agree, right? Mm-hmm. I agree, because I know that at this next chapter of my life, the success that I'm after, or how much success we will have, is determined by how bored I'm willing to be.
That's very difficult for you.
Right? I mean, it's not bored in life. It's just doing the same things over and over and over. So I did this even with the company in 2020, like making money. Like, we're doing well now, right? But like, I've learned to not just blow that thing up.
Yes. Which has actually been very refreshing.
Which has been easier for us, right? Like, oh, hey, you got something that's working. Yeah. I mean, fuck.
Let's not go fucking with it.
Well, what I charged $10,000 for on the initial, right now, I got all the way down one point. Like, you know what? Fuck it. Be $97 a month.
Yeah. What did you just say to me? Everything is going swimmingly. And let me just say, very matter-of-factly, like, we're doing fantastic. Probably one of the better years going into this quarter than ever before. And you came up to me. You just hopped out of the shower. And you're like, yeah, you know what? I think I gotta present a lower offer. And I was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I said, you're not going there. We're not doing this. I said, where you're sitting, most people are like, this is what people want. These are the types of clients. This is the type of elevated life coaching, you're at it. I said, we're not fucking with any, don't ever say that to me again. You started laughing. You're like, okay, good. I needed to hear that.
Yeah, for sure. Because there's always this haunting thing for me that's like, okay, man, like I always feel like I should be able to help the everyday guy. And it's not that I don't help them, like these podcasts help,
You do. Yeah,
the
exactly.
content that I put out, the books that I wrote, but I always want to try to help them in some sort of way in the coaching. And the coaching, I fail to realize the impact it actually makes by what we do, because it doesn't feel like I'm making an impact for those people. But the reality is we touch more people than I actually help.
Yeah.
But when I get to help the people, I get to see the wins. I don't get to see the wins of the other people. So I'm always like, fuck,
Not doing enough.
I'm not doing enough. I'm never doing enough.
I need to help every single person on this planet.
Right. And that has been actually a root cause that has caused me to do things over and over and over and over and make it harder and harder and harder. So the very same program that I offer for it's not the same, but it's more intense and more connection. It's $10,000. It's more of me and videos and higher level quality and production and service. And for a different type of man, I mean, back 3-4 years ago, I was like, fuck, we're going to $97 a month.
Yeah, I remember.
And then I had to rebuild everything, get rid of all the clients, come back. But this isn't about me or what we've done here, but it's the same. It's kind of the same thing where I think people get bored at a certain level, so they switch and do things. But if I look at people that I respect or someone that I respect and revere, and I see the struggle that he has with addictions, we use the word addiction, and it can go from like, drinking to pornography to, cigars or to marijuana or to whatever, right? Sure. Like, or to these types of different things that they drink, and they move and move and move, but they never really actually fix the addiction, but they've got so much great going on in their life. It's almost like they get stuck living in this. I'm not the one to coin this phrase. They just switch addictions for addictions, but I stopped doing that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the question that I want to figure out. Like, what made me different?
I mean, I would definitely say that you're still
this happened before
addicted.
I'm 100% addicted.
I guess
I'm obsessed
is a better word.
I mean, I told you what it was. There's a vision in my mind of me literally sitting, getting ready to snort some cocaine off of a mirror, right? And I can see my face staring back at me. The residue from the cocaine, the lines of cocaine on there, and there's my face looking back at me, red and beat. I've got, I just shot up and smoked some crack, and I'm doing heroin and drinking. I've been drinking for days, and pills and Percocets and Vicodins and whatever other type of pills that I would have at my disposal at the time. And there was a moment when I looked at myself face to face, and I said, you will never actually stop being addicted. Mm-hmm. But you get to choose what you want to be addicted to.
Yep, I love that.
And I don't know what unlocked for me. Some people are like, oh, God intervened, but there was no biblical spiritual awakening. I hear voices all the time from God, and I've always have, and I pray, and I'm a very, very godly man. I would say that now, right? Like I have been, but I'm finally like letting the world see that version of me. But in that specific moment, as the man who lived it, there was no interference or infusion of God. He didn't lay his hand, at least I didn't feel it or hear it. But something inside of me changed and shifted, said, well, you don't actually have to do this. You can do these other things.
Yep.
I didn't know what the other things were. Self-development. Business.
Family.
Relationship, family, self-care, self-love, appreciation, building a team, the gym, right? But I look back at it, and there is nothing inside of me that's ever being called to have a drink or a drug yet. Now, I can't really remember every minute from 9 years ago.
Sure.
It might have been intense at that moment, but I flipped the script and was able to focus on the choice. Choice. And I want everybody to have that. That's really what I want.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want to do. I want people to figure out, like, why are you making this so much harder than it has to be? Accept your struggle, accept the pain, accept the obsessiveness, accept the addiction.
Yeah.
But it's who you are. Stop trying to change it. Because I think when I was trying to change myself in rehab, and I was looking at what was wrong with me, and I was guilty, and I was resentful of, you tell me I can't drink, I'm gonna show you exactly how the fuck I can. And like, I didn't like the way that it felt. So I was trying to change. And it was finally accepted who I am, but inside of me, I could do a different choice. And I think this might even be what, I don't really know how they operate inside of AA, but I think people probably get addicted or obsessed to just going to meetings and doing that. I wanted to be bigger and beyond just a meeting.
Also, as you're speaking, and I do not have that addictive, obsessive personality like you do. But what's interesting is I have lived with very close family members who have had what you've had. And so from my observation, and that's all I can speak on is from my perspective on it, is the fear that is put around doing something like smoking marijuana. It's taboo. Okay, so this is just as a society as a whole, right? These things, people are like automatically that's bad, right? So there's this fear around it, and for obsessive people, for addictive people, it is enticing because you're getting away with something when you do those things, right? And so when you take that fear away and you own that you have a choice with inside of it, all of a sudden it doesn't become as enticing. You're like, oh shit. Yeah.
It's no different than when we use like reverse psychology on the girls, or specifically Bailey. Yes. She wants something until we tell her she can have it, she doesn't want it anymore. And
that's kind of where I'm going with this, if that made sense. You know, for obsessive individuals, driven, and you have this inside of you, this obsessive nature, and something is taboo and you know it's wrong, and there's this fear like, oh, if I do it, if I get caught, or it's, you know, this is the wrong thing. Society is like,
there's a thrill.
There's a thrill. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. And all of a sudden, when you take that away, and you are internally, you're like, well, I have a choice to do it or not. I have a choice to take these pills, or I have a choice to put all my obsessiveness into building this.
Yep.
All of a sudden, that doesn't become as, you're just like, oh, what the fuck do I want to do that for? You know, I'd rather be obsessed with this. It just doesn't have that taboo and not as thrilling feeling.
Sure.
You know?
I think that's one side of it. And I just was thinking back to some conversations I was on earlier this morning. There's also the feeling.
Yeah.
Tied to the story of the choice.
Sure.
Where I feel like a lot of people feel so alone.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know any of these things I'm saying to be true. I can just think back to some moments like me.
Or you.
And in the moments of being alone, these fleeting, desperate, just seconds that seemed like an eternity, and wanting to change, but not willing to change because I wondered if I changed, what would my life be like? And if it's always alone, I already feel alone because, well, fucking people hated me because of the actions that I was taking and who I had become.
Yeah.
Right. So then you're already alone there. You're already depressed. You're already anxiety ridden. You don't like who you are. You don't like looking at yourself in the mirror. But then the actual reality of looking at this and be like, well, if I stop, or if I let people know I stop, I'm now an even more of an outcast. I have a problem and I'm admitting it.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel even more alone, especially when like the guys that I help that are business owners or doctors or high level people, or pilots is a big one because pilots have such strict contingencies of like when they can drink or not drink or whatever. And they start operating in this place where like they're so isolated in their own mental prison that they do not even know where to go from here. So they just switch it to something different.
Sure.
They become obsessed with getting away with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting. Yeah. Good point.
Because there was a while in my life where I was obsessed with getting away with what I could get away. I used to be so cocky. I'm like, yeah, I'm just always a couple steps ahead of the cops.
Yeah. I remember when you would share stories with me when you would tell me that's what you were thinking.
I can remember multiple times that my brother would call me because he was friendly with the cops and he would get tipped off. It's like, yo, they're looking for your brother. Mm-hmm. And he would call me and say, you need to get out of, you're drunk, you're driving, get out of town. Get out of your car, get a ride. Like, and there was like this thing where I felt like Bo and Luke Duke, right? Like from the Dukes of Hazzard, I was getting away with something and Roscoe B. Coltrane was going to come after me. I mean, that's a hillbilly that I am, but like there was this feeling in there, but just talking through this on this call, I'm obsessed with wanting to know why.
And you know, as you're talking, and again, I can only speak personally on I personally don't feel like I've ever tried to make anything harder on myself. So then I am questioning, okay, and this brings me back to the question at the beginning, do male and female do things a little bit different? I feel like maybe it's more like primal for a man to want to struggle, to have things be difficult, because when he can overcome, like I said, that struggle, it makes him the fucking man.
There's two things, aside from you, my family, the business, that I absolutely love in my life. Mm-hmm. Waging war.
Yeah.
And winning.
Waging a war. That's what you're doing. That's what these men are doing. They're waging a war because they want a battle to fight. They want to be warrior fucking kings. Yep. They want to wield a sword, and they want to win the battle.
And I never get sick of winning. And in my mind, we actually just talked about this on one of the calls I was on.
I love that. That's what it is.
Waging war. It doesn't always have to be a war, and you don't have to always win, but I do.
Yes.
And I'm not wrong.
Yep.
And see, that's what I think people fuck up. They get told that they're wrong for wanting to do it.
No.
And they start fighting these wars and these demons, if you will, that they create that they can get away with because they have to win.
And there's so many times that you've told me in our relationship, you are so great at waging wars. You're so great at creating battles within yourself, within your mind, because you always have this desire to fucking kill and to like just win.
What did I tell you the other day? I literally told you tonight our bank accounts go to zero.
Yes.
Right? And I'm leaving the $200,000 in the company. Bank accounts go to zero, yep. And we are fucking broke.
Yep.
We will eat what we kill this year, yes. And I'm going to kill and hunt down all of this new impossible game we're trying to play.
Yes. And that became very exciting for me as I'm trying to unlock new levels. And this is just me speaking out loud, but I would never not wield a sword along the side with you. And although I don't have that same obsessive, everything has to be a battle, because that's exhausting to me. I think maybe as like intrinsic to me is to keep peace, is to keep things. That's when I thrive, mm-hmm. I feel like. But I'm not scared either. When you say those things, I'm like, okay, because this is who we are. I'm ready to, like, where's the battle?
It's who we are as a couple, right?
Yeah. And it's exciting for me.
I don't know what life would be like if it was just simple and peaceful. And I think, mm-hmm. and I know for men, we've got I don't know the exact amount, we could probably figure it out, but we've got a significant amount of people, making up words up here, which is great. I'm on that whole thing for 2024. I'm just going to make up my own language, by the way, because everything that I believe is real or could be real as possible. So I'm not going to speak English anymore by the end of the year. I'm going to speak something different that no one can understand except for you. Just kidding. But we have a significant amount of men who are coming into the comeback in their 60s, mm-hmm. upper 60s, even into their 70s, yep. who are finding this desire to wage war. I mean, yes, you got guys, I can think of a guy right now that he's like 70 something years old and he's not done in business, but he's super successful.
I love it.
Like multi-millionaire. He's like, I'm not done.
Yep.
And like this revival, this revolution, right?
Inside of him.
That came from the resistance of this war that he wasn't fucking waging. He got bored. If you think about it, they say it all the time. Well, when you retire, you'll die, right? The guys like you, when we retire, we die. Well, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Right? Because why? They need to wage war. But there's a whole segment of the United States and probably other countries, I would imagine. I don't know if they operate like we do here, that are just okay with retiring and living at peace and golfing and practicing golf stretches inside of the gym and doing that stuff. I'm not.
Yeah, I would. I don't think in all our years.
I want to get my hands bloody until I'm 100 years old.
I was going to say, in all the years that we're going to be together in this lifetime, and the next after that, and whatever different dimensions, there will never be a time where I allow you, just because I know what drives you. I know what it means for you to truly be alive, and that is to wage war, not against me, not against whatever, but whatever it is for you. And so I'll never allow you to get to a spot where
Yeah, no, that's great. I appreciate that commitment because that would mean that I'm getting bored. If I'm getting bored, that means I'm backsliding. If I'm backsliding, it means we're dying. And if we're dying, then what the fuck are we doing together?
What are we doing?
Right? Like, well, like you might as well go have some young dude. I know you shake your head, right? But like, I like to throw that out there because nobody's going to outwork me. But here's what I know. The men that I help, actually, I'm going to take a different frame on this. The more I lean into answering that question of why people make their life harder than it has to be by asking myself, why did I make my life harder than it has to be? And understanding that from that pivot inside of my life, this spawn and spark of this thing called I'm a Comeback, which has revolutionized and helped thousands and thousands of men, revolutionizing the way that people look at addiction, whether they want to say it or not. I'm here to fucking stay. I do not care what you think because I am who I am and I will become who I'm going to become. And as I rise and the kingdom rises, the amount of pressure we put on it by waging this war is lifting and drifting men through their hardest times. The reachable or the unreachable are now becoming reachable, who 6 years ago, 7 years ago, 8 years ago would have never listened to me.
Yep.
And it seems the more crazy I get,
the more free you become.
The more free I become, the more that I question, the more vulnerable I am with my men, the clearer I speak, the deeper I go into understanding why I did the things I do and why I do the things I do, the more freedom that is happening in this movement behind me.
Yep.
Because I never get sick of war and I never get sick of winning. I could thank my dad for that.
Yes, you could.
I mean, I could thank either of my fathers, right? Father of God and Father Mark Jennison Sr., right? Which maybe he'll see this, maybe he won't. You know, and a lot of times he likes to say that I blame him for things, which I don't blame him for things. I'm grateful. We don't see eye to eye in life, but like, I'm grateful for him showing me and being hard on me.
So am I.
Because he gave me a gift. Sure. It hurt and it hurts. And now on the other side, like the greatest gift he's given me is like, yo. And I saw him commenting on one of our ads the other day, right? He commented, some guy was saying something. He's like, yeah, you're not weak. Like you could talk shit about me, but no one else could talk shit about me, yes. Right? It's kind of his thing. But like, he's literally given me this desire to wage war. And I didn't know that at the time. Mm-hmm. As a kid, I just thought he didn't like me. Maybe that's where it came from. I don't know. But like, I'm now able to take that gift. I've turned it around and I give it to people, but I don't come from a place of not liking them. I come from a place of what's possible.
Yes. And I love that. And I think so many men, and what's awesome about that is so many men are afraid. Afraid might not be the right word, but they're afraid without even knowing that they're afraid. All men want to fight a battle. All men want to feel like a fucking warrior. You know what I mean?
Do you think that that's still happening right now today? Because I look around and there's like a pussified, and I'm guilty of it too. I haven't figured out this balance with our son, right? How to let him battle his own war. I'm seeing him do some stuff. I mean, there's the version that I see that's a nice, sweet, loving boy. And there's the other guy out there that has a little bit of dripping, a little bit of fuck you, which I think is what pisses off some of the other dads in the basketball and things, because sure. He is a little bit cocky in his own right. He's figuring out who he is. But I definitely try to protect because that's who I am. I'm an overprotector. I write about this. I know it's a problem. But it's hard for me to solve that problem because there's so much love, which is something that is new to me. I mean, I've had it only now for 14 years. Didn't really have it for, he gave it to me and then I gave it to you and I give it to these girls and I give it to my team now. But do you think that guys your age, even, we're 11 years apart. I can think of like, I don't want to say any names because it get millions of views on it. I don't want people to say that, but guys your age, mm-hmm. Do you think that they want to wage a war? Do you think that they're just hiding?
I think that this is kind of hard I think there's a lot of factors that go into that. I think that in every single man.
Or does age not even matter? Because as you're talking, I'm thinking about your brother, Jeff. He'd probably, if he was alive, he'd be right here alongside, probably doing this podcast, talk about how he was a god.
Yeah, and he truly thought that. Anyways, I think that in every single man, there is a lion, there's a king, there's a warrior that wants to be heard, wants to rise. I truly believe that. I think that as a man, you are specifically and uniquely designed. That is intrinsic to you. That is a gift from God. That is something that every man should step into. I truly believe that, because as a woman, I can honestly say that, and I'm a pretty badass woman if I do say, I don't know if I have that, that manly urge to wage war but anyways, I think it is inside every man. And I think that every man should arise to that occasion. I think there's a lot of things in society. I think there's a lot. And I don't want to take it down all the rabbit holes that I am so could take it down. But I truly believe that if every man would rise to that, we would see an incredibly strong society. We would see women thriving. We would see children thriving. A lot of the problems that we see in society today, I feel like would disperse.
Think so, huh?
I truly believe so. I think that if the men don't rise and they're not doing what they're called and is designed and intrinsic to them, if they're not rising and they're not doing it and they're suppressing that and they're, you're not waging war, then you're becoming weak. No man wants to feel weak. When a man is weak, society is weak.
See, I think that the way that it's taught right now, that the kids, even Phoenix's age or below, are they'll never know that they'll have it in there. They'll have it in them if it's truly inside of them, but it'll never be able to be explored because of the way that the world operates.
And that's something I struggle with especially having a son. And I feel as my motherly duty, I think I yell at you, and I use the word yell very subtly, but yell at you more because I want Phoenix to be like you. I want him to be the most manly, strong, mentally strong man. And I get upset because the way that we raise him in the society that we raise him, I'm like, he's weak. Mm-hmm. How can he be the man? How can he do the things that you do, Mark, if you do not be hard on him? And, just all the conversations that we have, I take that very seriously as a woman, because I want him to be the man that you are to me.
I haven't quite figured out how to do that without being mean. And I think that's something
and I don't know either. We both don't know. It's something that we're both trying to figure out. I know how it worked for
me. I know what
you were very mentally screwed up, and I don't want that either.
I don't want that for him, right? So I haven't quite figured that piece out. I do know this, right? Mm-hmm. Now that, he's starting to like girls, and with Garrett's daughter and Garrett running Warrior and me running I'm a Comeback, and these two kind of strong, psychotic male role models, because Phoenix he likes the Warrior, he doesn't want to be a comeback. He'd rather be Warrior.
The Warrior
right?
stuff.
So I'm like, oh, that's a good thing.
Right.
I see that as a good thing, because that means that Garrett's shaping him, because I'm not his dad, but he right? So when I look at him, I'm like, okay, well, there's still hope, obviously, and we'll figure this out as I navigate it. And he is still, young and learning. I remember at 14, I didn't want to do the things that I had to do.
And I do. I'm hard on myself for the way that I parent and that I mother.
And I was doing cocaine and drinking at 14 years old. I tucked him into bed last night with all of his blankets. He was he was so excited, so happy. I'm like, this is a completely different life. On one side, I'm like, yes, this is great. And on the other side, I'm like, man, Mark, you're making him weak. But if I died tomorrow, would I rather him remember Dad tucking him in because he had to go fight his battle?
And I don't think we'll never go wrong by loving. There's no such thing as showing too much love. I know that for a fact. We'll never go wrong with the amount of love that we show our kids.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just trying to, and we don't know.
How do you show it?
How do I?
And
showing it, the love is the fine. I just think it comes with allowing him to explore and for you to back away from some of the protection, because I mean, you protect him from everything. You'll have
all of you
conversation, all of us, and it's one of the reasons. I mean, we've had this conversation.
I'll protect you guys. I'll protect my team.
It's one of the main reasons why we love you. For sure. We can always count on you. It's like, oh, I'm scared or whatever, Dad. But it's the very thing that I'm speaking out loud where I'm also like, when is it too much?
Sure.
When is it going to start hindering his confidence and his belief that, oh, I can't handle this on my own. I need my dad. I want him to be able to rise and be like, oh shit, I got this because my dad showed me this, or, and maybe I'm too hard on myself. Maybe I'm too hard on him. I don't know.
When you were talking right there, I just had a download that says, well, what if the reason people do the thing they do is because the people doing the things that you're doing for your kids that you shouldn't be doing? Meaning that what if I'm making life too easy, and that's why people continue to fuck it up because they never felt a significant amount of enough of pain. But I always see multiple sides of this. There's guys that that end up in the program and they're like, man, I'm so glad it wasn't you, but I still have this drinking problem. I can't figure it out. And I think that does come from a place of everybody will go. Like, we shouldn't have to have pain, bro. Like, I don't think the purpose of life is to have pain. I think it's expansion, and maybe from the pain you feel some pain, but I think if you got an opportunity, your life was pretty good.
You should be grateful for that.
You're winning.
I think that so long as our kids are strong enough within, our pains, they're going to go through pain in their life. I don't know what it is. I don't know what that looks like. I just know it's inevitable and that they will go through it. My goal as a mother is to make sure that they have the confidence within themselves to withstand that pain and be like, you know what? I can fucking get through this. I can do this. Not, I need to sedate from this. I need to resort to thoughts of suicide. I need to resort to popping pills or, I don't know what it is. I just want them to be able to forge through it.
And I want that for them too. I've got this, it's interesting because as we're talking, I've got this wall that is so built up around my family, like this fortress that like, I'm willing to take their pain for them. I will literally fucking fight when Phoenix is 18, 19, 20. I'll fight the fucking kids if I have to fight at a bar, right? Like, I mean, I'm serious. Like, I'm not joking. Like,
you're definitely a psycho.
50-year-old fucking man. I'm at that time, right? Like, whatever. That's not the right answer, but like, that's inside of me. I literally crave hatred.
You don't crave hatred. You crave war.
Inside a war, there's a lot of hate though. It's dark. It's disgusting. And
the reason that you crave that war or that hatred, as you so put it, is because you want to win.
Right.
It's intrinsic to you to feel like a protector. That's winning. It's intrinsic to you to know that you can provide and protect your family. That's winning.
This isn't answering my questions.
Yeah,
Give
what
me
is
more
the question?
questions. The question, I don't think we're going to have the answer to this question. The question is, why do people do the things they do? Why do they make their life harder than it has to be?
Because people...
And maybe it did. Maybe it touched and some people could hear some things and it helped spark some questions in them. But I start off going down this topic in conversation by wanting to know when you're winning, why do you want to blow it up? Right? When you already have the world by the balls, why make it harder than it has to be instead of accepting it? Because I've got better at it.
You've gotten way better.
But in the container of addiction, my results when it comes to controlling any of these things are undeniable.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of shit.
Maybe we'll never be able to answer the question. It's not, and whether it's good or bad is irrelevant, but all I know is that if you're a man and you are not specifically seeking out battles, whatever it is, if you're not waging war out in the world, then you're slowly dying. And you're probably sad and you're probably a little depressed. Go fight some battles. Find them, win.
It doesn't have to be with your hands, right? It doesn't have to be with your hands.
No, I mean mentally.
Mental, physical, emotional, spiritual.
Right, whatever that looks like. But to have that and to come out on top and to know that you can win the battle is going to make you feel super good.
I just think where I sit, I made my life so miserable for such a long time that now that it's not miserable, life is actually pretty beautiful.
It is.
Right? Like when you take a sit, even though it's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Running a business, a movement, if you will, thousands and thousands of men, being a honest, integrity driven, loyal man, right? In a relationship with you, a father that is present for the kids every day and still battling the obsessive questions in my head. It's a hard job.
Those are the battles that you're fighting.
Right?
Yeah.
But when I take a step back and I look at life overall, like this is kind of what I want people to understand. Like I can do this like disassociation of life as a whole in me. And be able to take a step back and look at it, I can always find that like an immense amount of appreciation and love and gratitude for life, which I didn't possess back then. So that could be maybe not the how or the or not the why, maybe it's the how that I have that I'd like the people to understand. Because I don't think people should go through life afraid. I don't think you should be afraid of a drink. I don't think you should be afraid of, we went out for New Year's to get some wine, right? Some kid wine you wanted to have for the kids. And we ended up in the little alcohol section at the Piggly Wiggly or whatever this place is over here. And I was smiling because do you know how many people couldn't walk into that? Like, you probably don't recognize it. I mean, Ryan, you could probably understand like the trigger.
Oh, of being somebody who doesn't drink but is close to alcohol.
So somebody who had stopped drinking.
Yeah.
And we walked through that alcohol room, and it's Wisconsin. They give out free shots on Sundays.
Yeah, they sure do.
It's
bizarre. It's fine.
But like I walk into there's the beer cave.
Yeah, we walked through the entire liquor section.
Through the entire liquor section, and I'm showing you, taking shots of the Rumplemans.
Like, I used to drink this.
Right, I was showing you how I used to dip my toothbrush in there, and that's why I actually brush my teeth with it. But my point is, there's such a heavy fear that so many people will not even like look when they walk past that.
Yeah, and I don't know what that feels like.
I don't either, because I never allowed it to be that way. Because life happens.
Yes.
There's drinks out there. There's problems out there. There's opportunities out there. There's triggers out there. These are all opportunities and obstacles for you to be able to rise and learn from, right? So I don't even know where I'm going on this topic today, nor do I give a fuck, because more of 2024, Mark just truly just says and speaks whatever he wants to speak and hope somebody gets it. And if they don't, I'm going to keep talking anyways, but
there you go.
Is what it is. So I don't know if I have anything else on this topic.
I think we crushed it. Did we?
Maybe.
Don't know.
I guess we'll let the shit talkers and the followers, maybe not the shit talkers, but
I don't know any of those people.
I don't pay attention to them either. Ryan does. Look at him smiling over there. All right, that's it for this week's episode of Why Do People Make Their Life Harder Than It Has to Be. So if you are somebody that's doing this, ask yourself, why am I doing this?
Yep.
Why am I switching this addiction for this addiction? If I've got life by the balls of the way that I like it, or it's better, why do I stop doing the work? What is it about me that start, stop? Like, why can't they just continue this pattern? Because it's not that you're not disciplined, because people who are out drinking every day or using drugs every day or lying every day, you're
disciplined.
You're just disciplined in the wrong way, right? And then that's what it is. Maybe it was just, my message is to give you back the power of choice, to bring you to a place in your life where you can just fucking understand that today you are alive and you have an opportunity to thrive and to rise as the king you were called to be. No drink, no drugs, no lying, no cheating, no pornography, no gambling can stop you. The only thing that can stop you is you.